it says that I am live. You know, it's so weird doing this because you press the button and it says, hey, you're live. And it's like, really? Am I live? Because it doesn't feel that way because I don't know. I don't have any acknowledgement when I am. And then I have to go seek it. I have to go find the acknowledgement out when I go live on YouTube. My name is Sparkles of Gold, a.k.a. Nicolas Polymenakos. And another random live stream out of the blue. I warned some of you, though. And it looks like I am live. Okay, that's great. That's great. And we're going to look at the chat. I'm going to wait for any of you to come in here. Hello, Casey. See you in the chat. Thank you. I am. It says, she says you are, as in I am. And she says you are. And I'm saying I am. And then Casey says in the chat, you are. I am live. Thank you, Casey, for acknowledging me. Nicholas, Sparkles of Gold. So there is one person watching. It's you, Casey. Hey, thanks for the props. Thanks for your support. And these little moments like this where I feel like I'm on an island with an antenna and the power of the message. But even if I have the power of the message and there's no one out there listening, then I'm just talking to myself, which it's Gemini season, and that's the Gemini season life. You know, Mercury going into Gemini today, I am talking to myself. So, but I'm not, because now in chat, there's another person. Hi, Sam. What up? I don't have any of my notifications on for just anyone, but I must for Sparkles of Gold. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for turning on the notifications. It's great. You know, I was reading something about notifications on YouTube. Even if you have them on, sometimes you don't get them. And sometimes they come later. And a lot of people are pissed as YouTube creators because the notification thing isn't happening the way it should. Now, I'm assuming that the two of you here in chat got a notification. It's working with YouTube. And that's great. And if it's just us three total, we'll make the best of it. We'll do it. I'm assuming that I sound fine. And that I need actually for the two of you in chat right here, I need you to tell me something. I'm going to be quiet for 5 seconds and I need you to tell me if you hear any other noises. Okay. I'm going to start right now. Okay. Let me know if you heard anything in the background. If there was noise coming in. I know there's a delay here. Sam, I missed your live show last week, so I'm glad I got the notification for this one. I'm glad you did too. I sort of did a video on IG today that I was gonna do this, and I'm gonna talk about the week here and a little background. That's what I thought. Thank you, Casey. I have windows open in here and there's sound creeping in, and I want to keep it somewhat cool because I got the lights going on here. So I'm gonna do the balance of it. If it gets weird. Yeah, I wish it was a faraway traffic of an AC, but it's a freeway. Kira, hi, no noise. Not surprised, Casey, because I know you dial in on details. So thank you. And if it gets a little weird, I might get up in the stream and close the window or two, but I need the breeze to come in here and for the time being. All right. Do I have a tattoo on my right wrist? No. This was a marker that someone did. Someone did that because they looked at me and then they looked at an ID and then they looked at me. They looked at me and they said, yes. And then they gave me an X on my wrist today. That's what's going on there. If I ever got a tattoo on my wrist, I don't know, it'd probably be some serpenty type of thing. Hi, Tina. Purple and green, my favorite colors. Can't wait to hear what's on your mind. You really want to know what's on my mind? I mean, I'm a Mercury in Gemini, Mercury ingress today. That's what's on my mind. And that's what's up. I'm going to wait for some more people to jump in here before I start. And what I am going to do is a quick recap of just the astrology of last week, but just the Venus stuff. And what I'm going to do now, and I'm saying this publicly, which is like getting married. but then you can get divorced. Anyway, is that I'm going to do a Venus and weekly report every week. Venus and Leo thing. So whether I do a live stream, I do a video, or I do a video about the other transits, but I'll throw in the Venus and Leo stuff for the week. I will do this, and I will try to do this all the way to the first week of October when the Venus and Leo transit is over. So, yeah. Hi. So anyway, I want to thank you all. You know what I got to do? I have to share this damn thing. Let me do this right now. I have to share this this live stream to my socials, which aren't the best of things these days. But in the meantime, they're asking me to log into my socials. No. That's not happening right now. I'm gonna do it another way. So and so be patient with me. I know people are gonna watch this afterwards, like talking. When's he gonna talk about the transits? This is the way it happens on live streams. So it's like this is the way it goes. Okay, don't get on my case. Startlingly true. Good to see you. Happiest of birthdays. Thank you. Startlingly true. My birthday's tomorrow on June 12th. I'm having my solar return officially today. It actually, I think, is happening. Maybe do I pull up the chart? I don't want to get that personal. So let me do my deal. Let me share to social media the incredible social media platform, and I need to do this. And I'm seeing some of you. In the meantime, or maybe not right now, but I might ask. If you want to ask me a certain question, can sort of. You hear that? That's my life. Now you can hear the sound. You can hear the trucks, the things. You wouldn't believe it. I'm right next to a freeway. And if you watched any of my videos in the last year and a half, it's like, the sound's all right. It's okay. This room shakes. Still shakes while I make the videos. That's why I have a certain mic and why I have a certain thing. And that's why, but now I have the windows open. You can see what my real life's all about. And it's like, it's crazy. Hey, Startlingly True. Thank you for the super chat donation. Thank you so much. Right on. That's going to buy me, what should I do? Tomorrow, might buy me a ticket to the movie theater because I might see a movie tomorrow or something. Thank you. Took me 2 tries. Of course it did. Of course. 2-try Gemini. That's what we're in. Let me do this now. I have to share this. It says on Facebook, I'm live streaming now. And I'm posting that. So, Tina in chat says a skincare client wanted to practice her script to me, and she said it was about a woman who had trouble making decisions. Marries a guy. They have the same birthday like twins. I was LOL laughing with the Mercury symbol. First thing that popped in my head before the rest, I'm like, were they both Libras? That's the joke. The drum joke thing's supposed to come in there. So let me do one more thing, and then I'm just going to jump right in. They were asking me to log in. I know why. This is happening, and I don't have time to share this on the platform I don't really like. We're a week apart. It went on. She marries 2 guys. Oh, yeah. That's all right. Okay. All right. So let's recap. Last week, we I did this live stream, an impromptu live stream on the 4th. It was June 4th. And there was a Mercury-Uranus conjunction. And it was the next day on June 5th at 6:46 a.m. that Venus went into Leo. And several hours later, Venus in Leo at 0 degrees opposed Pluto in Aquarius. That was there. Venus, I will get to Wednesday the 7th, and we had the Aquarius moon come in and trigger the Grand Cross that's happening at 0 degrees. The moon in Aquarius squared the nodes, and squared Jupiter, and opposed Mars. When we got to the 8th on Thursday, here's the next Venus chapter. Venus in Leo squared the nodes at around 2 to 3 degrees. I remember that because several days ago. Friday, we had the moon go into Pisces and the Mercury Neptune sextile that happened that brought Dream World in. Amazingly, Dream World. Thank you, Moon in Pisces. Moon then conjunct Saturn on Friday, and yesterday on Saturday, we had the moon square the sun. And today, this morning, we started off with the moon Neptune conjunction in Pisces at 2:09 a.m. Pacific time. And at 2:45, Pluto went into Capricorn. I still think that Mercury-Pluto trine that happened an hour later officially was really touching upon and wanted to touch upon a 0-degree air trine, but it didn't. It was 29 degrees right on the edge, and I live this life because I have 29 degrees stuff. So Mercury trine Pluto, Mercury went into Gemini at the same time. It's amazing. I'm looking at this calendar right now, and it says 3:26 a.m., Mercury trine Pluto, right? That means it's 29 degrees Mercury in Taurus trining the just going back into Pluto in Capricorn. But like at the same time, it says Mercury in Gemini. Think how weird that is. So there's a little bit more time in between if we look on the ephemeris, but it's a wild thing to me that we would have that trine happen in Earth and almost in a sense trine happen in air. Almost all at the same time, but still shifting. So there the moon went into Aries this morning. Today, officially at 8:39 a.m., we had the Venus square Neptune square, Venus and Leo square Jupiter in Taurus. And that happened officially today. That was building up the last couple days. And right now, we are having the moon. It just happened a couple hours earlier. The moon trining in Aries, trining Venus. So that's the lowdown from last week. Really quick, not to bore people who are watching this, you hang in there with me. My name is Nicolas Polymonakos, a.k.a. Sparkles of Gold. This is how I do my live streams. And then we're going to start looking at this week. A couple notes that I wrote down, a little bit of tomorrow. And we're going to, I'll go through some of the transits this week and pull out a Venus thing or two if I can. And some interesting stuff that happens this weekend coming up too. So anyway, that's that. I want to make sure of something here before I get going. I'm assuming you can hear that. You tell me if you can hear that, because I got to do my musical somethings. I got to do it. Welcome to your Venus and Leo report, week number 2. For all those who are experiencing the Venus and Leo transit, who want to experience it, and will be almost, some of you, decimated by it. In a good way. May Jupiter in Taurus bring its abundance, its raw, organic power, its quest to your Venus, or to Venus and Leo. And for those with Venus and Leo, may you vibe and connect with the frequencies and the sounds through your senses. And may this message in this live stream make a difference. All right, for my 13 people watching, let's start looking at charts. There's a chart up on the screen right now. It's the chart of tonight. June 11th. Right here I have, what do I have? 6:43 is kind of when I started the stream. I'll update it to now. And you can see here, we have, I hope it feels David Lynchy all up in here because that's my boy. That's my guy. Watch the 3rd season of Twin Peaks, episode 8, on the biggest screen possible in surround sound, and you will have your life blown away by that episode. It's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen on TV is that episode, Got a Light. That, if I ever have a chance to watch that on a big screen, like a movie theater, right? It is one of the most ultimate pieces of television I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, so here we are right now. Look what's happening here. You look what's happening at the top of the chart. If we didn't look at anything else, we see Venus at 6 degrees and we see Mars at 13. And Venus is trying to get there. It's trying to like, hey, Mars, hey, I'm looking hot. I want to get close to you. So they're getting close to each other. And let me bring this out. And we'll go green because that's Venus. Tell me if you could see the annotation on screen because I think you can. But here you see Venus at 6 degrees and Mars at 13. And we basically have, I don't care what the orb is, okay? We take 10-degree orb, whatever. But basically we have a Venus-Mars conjunction applying right now that's happening. Now Mars is going a little bit ahead here. But what's interesting is in the sky, Venus is pretty much hit maximum brightness last week. But it's still super bright in the sky. Mars isn't that way, actually. Here. So Venus is the star, okay? Did I just say it that way? Literally and figuratively is the star of the show and wants to be in Leo, and it is, and it's palling up to Mars here and wants to integrate in fun, creative, feel me, see me, and at times indulgent ways. It's like having some honey and then pouring the honey on, well, you fill in the rest of the blank. So that kind of thing is happening right now. And then we got Jupiter here at 5 degrees. You know, officially today, it made its square, but it's been going on, and it will be. It's going to be around this week. It's going to be around the whole Venus and Leo transit this whole summer, by the way. It is not going away because basically later on when Venus is going to station retrograde at 28 degrees Leo, it's going to come all the way back. There's going to be these it's going to be there sort of, but it's really going to connect with is Uranus at 20 degrees. So right here, mathematically, we're going to have Uranus-Venus squares are going to happen. You also have a Jupiter thing happening too, just by sign. So it's electric from Uranus. It's expansive and abundant from Jupiter and has no boundaries. Venus and Leo is going to learn a lesson or two this summer, but it's not saying you can't have fun because she's just going to have fun anyway, even if I told her not to have any fun. So that's what's going on. We're looking at this right now. We also want to point out that today we have Mercury. It's already it's already at 1 degree. It was 0 degrees today. Mercury's moving really fast right now. As a matter of fact, it's only going to be there for about 2 weeks. I wish it was there for 2 months, like it just wasn't in Taurus, but it's only going to be there for 2 weeks. Take advantage of this. The reason is we had Mercury and Taurus going on with the retrograde, everything that happened from April till today, and we finally get a break. And I actually think that a lot of the things that were in a stalemate position during Mercury and Taurus and that were moving at its Taurian pace, we are out of that right now. And then not only do the messages are going to get delivered, there are multiple messages in play here. And we also want to think is Mercury and Gemini is a tool. we could think about it as one of these multi-tools that has an Allen wrench and a nail clipper and a knife and something else. I don't know. You know what I mean? So you have all these things, and we want to use Mercury and Gemini this way the next couple of weeks. We want to get the certain emails, the certain contracts signed. We want to get the messages that were all formulated for the last 2 months, and we want to push. We want to push hard with our minds. Now, if you're not used to doing this like I am, you do it at your own pace, and you look at the Gemini part of your chart, and you really take advantage of this movement of being able to multitask, multi-think, multi-idea, and to share that and to receive messages too. And what I also say, what always gets forgotten about with a Mercury and Gemini transit is that you want to practice your listening skills too, because if you do this while things are rapidly happening, and you are able to work on listening and have it reciprocated. Someone's talking to you, you're rapidly talking to them, like I'm talking to you right now, and then you're listening too at times, you will master the art of Mercury and Gemini. Actually, that's the high level art way. Okay, so anyway, that's what's up there. I'm gonna go to the next day, and here, oh wow, this drives me crazy. Here is June 12th. It's a Monday. What an interesting date this is. I'm going to go back a couple hours. I'll go back to 1 p.m. Mars at 5:35 a.m. in the morning in Aries is going to actually trine. Let's just go back to that point, shall we? I mean, I'll go to 6 o'clock. We're going to see Mars do its thing. Here it's at 13. I know it's past, but basically right here, see 13, and we go all the way here to Mars in Leo. Mars loves this. On the way, the moon's also going to trine Venus, basically tonight into tomorrow. So happening, it's happening right now. It already happened, but it's still around. And it's now Mars is going to do that with the moon. Little side thing I wanted to throw out at you. Then later on in the day at 4:15 p.m., I always want to point this out. It's right here. I'll do 4 p.m.-ish or whatever, and I'll bust this thing out, is you will see the moon here and Chiron are together at 19 degrees. This is a monthly moon Chiron conjunction, and we want to look to the Aries part of our chart and wipe our faces off, put the ointment on the wound, and you Aries people, whether you're alone or not, know that you're not alone. And tell yourself, and I'm talking about, let's just do it this way. Let's say there's 2 of you. That's 4. Let's say there's 2 of you. And here's 1 of me. This is total Gemini talk. And then on the other side right here next to me is like a wounded Nicholas part, a wounded self part. Let's call that Chiron. Chiron and Aries. And so the moon's going to touch that. We want to take this wounded self heart, this part of in our Aries part of our chart that's we've been working on. It's kind of there, and then we forget about it. Then it comes up, and it's like, that still hurts from the surgery, and that kind of thing. And we want to hug that part of ourselves in the Aries part of our chart, the Chiron. We want to hug. We want to integrate that. We want to. You're not getting this. Let me do it the right way, because I keep thinking you're seeing the whole screen. Basically, here is wounded self Chiron, and we want to hug it during any kind of transit that Chiron is going to hit in Aries. In this case, it's the moon. So we actually want to feed Chiron the wound here. We want to do basic necessity survival self-care, because I think a lot of Aries energy sometimes they just go too fast, they burn out, and they need shit like basic sleep, eat, drink, that kind of stuff. We want to do that with every time the moon touches Chiron. Okay. So that's what I'm saying to you, and that happens 4:15 Pacific, and then later on Monday night at 9 o'clock-ish, we get the moon sextiling the sun, the Gemini sun. So we got Aries moon vibing and with the Gemini sun that is shining itself, the core light of the Gemini sun that wants to shine wherever it goes. And here it basically is shining on the moon, and they have a harmonious relationship with each other. I like tomorrow's transits. I like this. I mean, considering the switch ups that we've had in the last 24 hours with transits, some people can feel a little discombobulated or whatever. Mercury in the Gemini is too fast. Pluto's going back into Capricorns subconsciously too much. It's going back to the past. I don't want to deal with the past anymore, but I got to go deal with it for the next 8 months or whatever it is. So here we got some good fire and air combination that's happening, okay? In the meantime, if you have any questions in the chat, please ask me. So there's that. We're going to go to the next day. And yeah, June 12th. It's so weird to say that, June 12th, because it's my birthday. So whenever I say June 12th, I mean, if you ever say your birthday, it's like always a thing. You see a famous person that's got your birthday, you're like, oh, they got my birthday. And you think you're the same, but you're not, because if I pick someone I know has June 12th, it's George Bush Sr., not the junior, dorky cancer George Jr., Senior, Gemini, was head of the CIA, blah, blah, blah. That is not someone I want to share my birthday with. He can F off. There's plenty of other birthday people out there on June 12th. Anyway, okay, so we're on the, I'm going by the hour here, and I will switch up to the date to the 13th. I want to mention that at 11:31 a.m. that the moon's going to go in Taurus, and now we get into the dirt. We get into the place where we get to lay in the grass and go chill and mellow, not being fiery Aries anymore. And now, as always now, when the moon goes into Taurus, it makes a conjunction with the nodes here. And I know this is more, you got to know like Astrology 102 talk here with me when I do this, but just go with me. We could see here that at 3 degrees, that's where the node is. We could see here that there's the moon. This is at 5:07 p.m. tomorrow on Tuesday, the 13th. We are just got to take notice of this because we know there's been eclipses that's happened for the last year and a half in Taurus and Scorpio. This is part of it. What I am suggesting is, because there's a lot of planets still in Taurus, thankfully Mercury is gone, but we really do want to live through our senses and so on and so forth. I want to look in the chat right now. Phoebe, good to see you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Phoebe in chat says, oh, you said that a while ago. Hey, now I'm actually live. You made it, Phoebe. Thank you. It's good to see you here. So basically we have this organic earth sign, Taurus, it's fixed. And what it wants in the end is it wants to create and acquire and live through its resources. And because of the resources that it creates and acquires, you can have things that are reflective of those things. Like you have money and you buy things, and those things you buy are things that you love and like. And hey, let's say I'm having a party in my Taurus garden. I want you all here, man. Come over. I've got some good red wine. There's some grapes. Got some good cheese. All the things from the earth. And let's sit down. Don't rush. Take it easy. Have as much as you want. Especially when you have Venus and Mars and Leo squaring all this just by sign. And so all of this moon, Jupiter stuff is magnified every time it's going to touch Venus, because when we look at the Taurus stuff, we always look to the ruling planet, which is Venus, and it's in Leo, like we're talking about with Mars, and we got a thing going on here, right? It's a lot of pleasure seeking, a lot of indulgence, really, and you deserve that. I think wait a second now. Let me stop the chart here. You, current viewer on my live stream, future viewer on YouTube this week that will randomly found me and gets to this point, you deserve pleasure. All of us do. And not only that, when we go to have pleasure, we do pleasure, we don't want to feel guilty or feel shame with it. And a lot of times, if that comes up, it's because either we took the pleasure too far, right? And then we crashed and burned a little bit with it. And then okay, and then it sticks with you. And depending on how you grew up and what soaked into your world or how you're supposed to be in the world and act with pleasure, that you might have that, you might beat yourself up about it. But then you get through it and you're like, you know what? I know next time that I won't go too far. You might do that cycle over and over again, by the way. But I think here what's most important about shame and guilt and that kind of stuff when it comes to pleasure is that most of the time, if we think here in the United States, the culture And this is, I mean, I'm going to say regardless of generation. I think the older you are, the harder it is. But what constitutes pleasure and what we do through pleasure is on lockdown. It's on lockdown, because usually when one starts to go there and they figure out what is a pleasure in their life and what feels good and what uplifts them and connects themselves to their spirit and their magical self, their magical light, some people get real jealous. And it means then if you do that, you are empowered. That means you're standing in your power in light, your creativity, right? And there's been a lot of rules, whether it's been religious influences, jealous people, patriarchy, whatever, right? There's all these things in combination. And they don't want you to have pleasure. And the only pleasure they do want you to have is basically that you have to buy, let's say, right? And I don't mind buying things for pleasure. It's part of the thing. But I mean as in the advertising, economic, capitalistic, hyper-capitalistic thing of like, oh, you can't do that, but we're going to show you this commercial of this. You get this. You go to Taco Bell and you get the whatever special, or you buy this thing or whatever. This is going to make you feel good, right? And people inherently, human beings, want to feel pleasure. It is part of our code. It is our part of our basic human rights is to experience the world and create pleasure, create and receive. And not only that with yourself, but possibly share it with other people. So we have a past storyline embedded in all of us. And depending on where you are with this story, you have done the work, or you've had to have people help you do the work, or you're still working on it, and we all are, but you want to shed those things from the past that bring shame and guilt through pleasure. Now, for anybody joining here, I'm talking about Venus and Leo stuff here, and I'm talking about a lot of the Taurus stuff that's in. We've got the moon in Taurus on Tuesday, Jupiter in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus. This is a surface and below the surface story in the end. Here, I think with the Venus and Leo story is like, we want to get to those places, and shame and guilt and other weird feelings come up with it. We want to stand in that place and understand that and bring whatever it is, whatever it takes to go through the process of shedding that. And because you deserve that. You deserve that release. You deserve the reintegration of yourself and to you basically you deserve to smell the flowers, okay? You get that you own that, you have that. And not only that, every single one of us on the planet gets to smell the flowers. It's not the flowers just for me and you can't have any. No, we all get to do it. And the cool thing is about Taurus stuff is we get to grow the flowers ourselves. If we are inherently connected to our self-worth and our value, then we get to construct that. So we look to the Taurus parts of our chart, or Taurus part of your chart. That's where we're going to construct a sense of self-worth and a value and resources. And we can do it in many different ways. It's just now we get to do it with Venus and Mars and Leo. And we get to not only create it, but we get to express it through Venus and Leo, because Taurus is going to express itself wherever Venus is in the chart. And we're going to go, hey, let's just say right now, and I'm feeling very in my element right now. You all watching, I feel pretty good right now. This live stream and the warmth in this room and the connection that I have with the 17 of you watching right now and more watching later, I feel pretty good. I feel like you might be connecting to my message, and I don't feel any shame or guilt in it all. I feel really dialed in, and I feel like I'm me. You see? Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes for you to feel you. As a song from an old pal of mine, the band called Weapon of Choice. Meganut. I can't believe I'm referencing Meganut. There's a song, you might find it on YouTube. The name of the song is You Owe It to You to Do What You Want to Do. And, I'm all about it. And I'm all about it more than ever these days because of everything that's happened to us pandemic-wise, economically, and the shit's getting harder, and we're pitted against each other in chat rooms and in comment sections, even friends, even people in the same kind of like creative world of tarot practitioners, occult practitioners, whatever, man. Like somehow the conflict gets you the rush. Well, I'm saying, you know what else gives me a rush? What gives me a rush is me being me, my creative self, and completely being free. And then not only that, I feel good in it, and I'm going to do it anyway, even if none of you were watching. But it happens to be that some of you are watching, and if you're still here, you're digging it, and we're doing it. And then when you make something, you create something, or I made these herbs, and I created this salve, or I did this kind of thing, whatever it is. I'm like, I'm watching you, and I'm like, wow, that is amazing stuff. And you're like, I made this. I was passionate about this. I researched this kind of thing. I made these candles, or check out this little thing that I sewed together. I embroidered, whatever vessel of creativity or multiple vessels. You did it, and then you're like, what did I made? The excitement, the raw excitement. Before even asking about money to help me out to balance my life so I can survive, that little moment where you're like, look at this, look what I made. I see that. I see you. I see you, and I love that about you. I appreciate that about you. That raw something that came out of you with no shame, no guilt, no fear. Just courage and confidence and beautiful everything. That's where we are. That's what we get. That's what we get to have all the time. As long as we're good to ourselves, we don't harm ourselves or other people, I'm all for it. If you're going to do anything with this Venus and Leo transit this summer or later on, stick that in your brain. And when you make a mistake and you crash hard or you drank too much or you pursued the pleasures and you went a little too far, dust yourself off and don't get on the guilt train or shame train. It's like, oh, I understand. I'm human. I'm human. I make mistakes. I went a little too far. I drank a little bit too much out of the jug, and I'm gonna know that next time. And luckily, I'm still here, and I'm grateful for the knowledge and the wisdom that came through pleasure. And that's not the only thing. The other thing is it's just like just feeling good. June 13th, the moon goes into Taurus and conjuncts the North Node and is going to conjunct Jupiter and eventually conjunct Uranus, and all the time squaring off with Venus and Mars in Leo. And remember, squares are tough at times. They create challenges. Something breaks and needs to switch up and change. And that's when the switch up and change and challenge happens. It's survival. And that survival place is the seed coming up out of the dirt, and now it needs more love. We want to water the seed and water ourselves and water our creativity. That's how we use a square in astrology. Instead of it hitting us from behind or a combative event happen, we want to understand that combative challenge, and we want to switch it and turn it into something. And that is how growth happens. If you don't have squares in astrology, we don't have growth. We have to embrace and understand squares in astrology. All right, so that's Tuesday, and I'm on Tuesday, and I already had a rant. So 10:40 p.m. on Tuesday, the moon will be conjunct Jupiter. When we get to the next day, it's purple everything. See in the chat. Thank you, Blazing Space. Leslie, yes. Thank you. Okay, we go to Wednesday. The moon in Taurus is going to sextile Saturn in Pisces. This actually goes into what I was talking about, actually. This is another way to formulate a vision and a dream. And what I'm talking about is Saturn's been in Pisces now. It's 7 degrees here, and here is with the moon. Did I get this correct? Why am I, what? Oh, it's sextiling this. Why am I getting my things off? I think I have this way too. It happens at 2 a.m. on Wednesday, okay? On the 14th. But the moon's going to do all its thing I just talked about, but it's going to vibe with Saturn and Pisces here. And here we bring some groundedness to the watery vision of Pisces, and we have water and earth getting together again and connecting. Water and earth love each other. So when we get later in the day, the moon is going to square Venus, like I talked about earlier, and then square Mars. When we get to the 15th, blaze through this here. We're going to have the moon This by degrees off here, but I'm not doing the exact things because I'm doing it on the fly. But you can see the moon and Uranus is here together. It passed over several hours before then. Moon, Uranus. We got a new vision with the emotional, grounded Taurus moon that just likes to be stable and can't get off the couch. Uranus here throws a little bit out of the source. Uranus has been doing this every month, every time it connects with the moon and Taurus, and brings a different view, an erratic view, an electrical impulse, something out of the blue, a surprise. And I think at this point, for the amount of time since 2018, since Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus, that Taurus people, Taurus moon or whatever, they're kind of used to this day of the month and this moment. And there you go. So that's Thursday, 1:54 a.m. Then we have, and I don't want to forget this. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about on the stream. I'm going to go back a couple hours. There's a very important here, and I will go back at 9:09 a.m. I'm just flowing here. My brain is popping. We're going to go look at Mercury here at 7 degrees Gemini, which it's not even a week, by the way. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4 days into Mercury and Gemini, and it's already at 7 degrees, which is right here. And we're going to go look at Saturn here at 7 degrees too. And these two are squaring each other off. Now here, Saturn in Pisces wants to actually lay some foundations and rules down with Mercury going fast with its speech and its communication, and wants to construct something creatively when it comes to processing words, communicating them or expressing them. And there's messages here that are happening with Mercury in Gemini and Saturn in Pisces with its vision and its deep request and its almost unknown feelings. They connect here in a square, and we want to use this square to evolve. And so we want to bring creativity to the Mercury Gemini situation. Mercury and Gemini should pause right here because it's going so fast, the fastest it can be, being in Gemini, and it needs a little bit of Saturn to stop it in its tracks. That's one way to look at this. And we want to construct and have pillars and foundations with the words that Mercury and Gemini is using, the multiple storylines that it's juggling, the multiple social interactions that it's performing and butterflying around. There's a container here that Saturn wants to put on Mercury. Sometimes here it could set arguments off because things are unclear, because it's in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, and Mercury in Gemini is going too fast. But we want to use this to create clarity in conversations and clarity in your mind. And so that happens this week, but it becomes exact at 9:09 a.m. Pacific time. Moon goes into Gemini later that evening at 6:45 p.m. and then that's when the shit and the brain starts to really pop off here in the Mercury and Gemini transit, because we basically go all the way into the next day. And right now, I will go by the hour to show you this. And here, at this point, we're going to go right there. I will do it like this and annotate the screen and show you the moon now at 10:07 a.m. on June 16th is take a deep breath, Nicholas. On the 15th, going into Friday the 16th, after the square, this still happening. Here comes the moon in Gemini squaring off with Saturn, but it's conjunct Mercury. Mercury mind is on fire right now. I feel like my mind's popping off. I'm reminding myself this week of this. And why? Because I have a 9-degree Mercury in Gemini. So I'm glad I'm doing this live stream. If anything comes out of this live stream, it's because I need to watch out and pay attention to Thursday and Friday in my life, because this is happening to me. This exact thing is happening to my Mercury. Maybe that's when I should have did the live stream, but I'm going to remember to keep my mind focused and to make sure I eat and drink water and breathe. And I'm saying this to all my air sign people in general, that because of computer screens and doing work online, that you have a tendency just to go, and you get stuck at this part of your body and you forget about the bottom part of your body, and you forget to eat. Your body gets cold, your nervous system gets shot, then you start putting sugar into your body. You don't want to do that. We want to ground ourselves, Gemini people, especially this day. The moon later on in the day at 1:57 p.m. We'll just go to 2 o'clock, and I'll show you. You will see the moon here now, and this here's and I can't believe we're about to get to something else here. I'm looking at the chat. Call out here. Yes. Oh, good, Leslie. I'm glad you're digging Uranus in your world. Then somebody else is saying they're done with Uranus being a Taurus. So you just see that's us as humans and our differences. So, but we could see here now on I have 2:07 p.m. Pacific on the Friday, and you could see Mercury and the Moon conjunction here. But what's happening here is the Moon and Venus are vibing with each other. So this airness, this emotional, the Moon and air is moving and socializing. And actually, the Moon is getting its needs met in Gemini by socializing and interacting, because that's what the Moon wants to do. The Moon wants to get your essential needs met wherever it is, okay? In your chart, your natal chart, you want to look at your Moon, go look at the Moon and see like what sign it's in and what aspects, and that's how you're going to see how your essential needs are met or not met. Not only that, another bonus is go look at the relationship between the sun and the moon in your chart, like when you were born and what moon phase you were born in. Were you born a day before the full moon? Was it a day before the new moon? That will give you a clue on a base core part of your chart of how the moon gets the essential needs met for the core part of your chart, the sun. The sun wants to do its thing and the moon wants to help it or has ways of doing it, and it just depends on the moon phase it is, the phasal relationship. Anyway, the moon here is vibing in a great way, sextiling with Venus. Is a conduit of energy, a conduit of clarity here. The socializing, which Venus in Leo likes to do, Mars in Leo likes to do. Here's the Moon in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini. This is the weekend actually coming up. This is good party vibes right here. This is good socializing. Going from here to there, a lot of people at the party. You go to some restaurant, there's people eating dinner, blah, blah, blah. You're all sharing stories, sharing this. And not only that, the flirtatious Mercury in Gemini, Moon in Gemini is looking at the Venus in Leo and is like, man, you look good. Like, I see what you did right there. You know, you just, and it's effortless for you. You know, who are you? Are you on IG? What do you do? And of course, Venus and Leo is going to be like, well, this is what I do. I didn't think you'd ask. And secretly, like, I was wondering when they were going to ask. I was wondering if anyone's going to notice me. If no one's noticing me in the room, Venus and Leo, this is the wrong place for me to be. Why isn't anybody talking to me? Everyone should be talking to me anyway. So that is what's happening there. And we like this for the weekend, so on and so forth. I mean, if I look at that day, there's some other weird stuff I can look at, but basically we're building towards the next day, which is, to me, very interesting. And not only that, well, I'll show you. And I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to do it in a thing like here. And just so you know, I'm using Astro Gold here. You could see on the screen here, I got this event search, right? I'm like, okay, what am I doing here? What am I looking for? And I'm going to get straight to the point about a particular something, because I'm like, I know Saturday's a big day. I know something, but 2 weeks ago from the Saturday, something big happened, right? Something happened, and it was the full moon in Sagittarius, right? Yo, hello, Queen of Wands. Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you. So I'm like, okay, on June 17th, which is this Saturday coming up, 2 weeks before then was a full moon in Sagittarius. So now it's 2 weeks later on the Saturday, and now what? What happens 2 weeks later after a full moon? Well, what happens is a new moon. And so I'm going to look here for the new moon exact when it happens, okay? And I'm going to press this thing here. I'm going to say, what is the new moon coming? And I'll do there. And it says, boom, and I'll calculate the chart. And there we go. Okay, so here at 9:37 p.m. on Saturday, we have the new moon in Gemini at 26 degrees. This is the new moon for the year for the Geminis. We want this. We like it. Always. There it is at 26 degrees. Hi, motorcycle. So we have that. And basics here. New moon in Gemini, which means 6 months from this moment here, there will be a full moon in Gemini during the Sagittarius birthdays in November, December-ish. Okay? if you're a Gemini, you have anything at these degrees, at 26 degrees, let's say it's at 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, you want to pay attention to the lunation here, because basically what is happening here is something that could be seeded and started. I mean seeded as in something you put in the ground, like a seed in the ground. And 6 months later, we kind of get to see a little bit of what happens, the possible harvest from this point in time, the 6 months later when the Gemini full moon happens. There you can catch the in between that when we get into the Virgo part of the world, where we can look at the first quarter square that happens, that can happen in when the lunation happens in Virgo. That's the midpoint in a sense between the new moon now and 6 months later with the Gemini full moon. Way too much information. So anyway, there we have this lunation happening at 26 degrees. Earlier, though, in the day, we also had officially the Mercury at 11 degrees sextiling that Venus that I was mentioning earlier. And this is definitely part of the new moon. We like this. This is really good. We have good conversation, good socializing, and acknowledgement. What happens here, though, is Venus in Leo not only doesn't want to look and feel sexy, but it's all about creativity and output. What I said earlier in this YouTube video about pleasures and creativity and the vessels of creativity and pleasure that we give ourselves. And Mercury and Gemini here is liking this and actually throwing an idea or two at the Venus and Leo. Kind of like they're shooting the shit. They're sharing their minds and like, oh, that's an amazing idea. Oh yeah, what if you did this? What if you took that particular color palette that you were talking about and you were saying that was one part of your emotional sphere, this color palette, and you're going to put it on one part of it, and then you added this other color into it, and then the Gemini, they're going back and forth. They're brainstorming things of creativity, and the Venus and Leo and fire loves the air that's coming at them, because air almost makes the fire breathe louder, right? And here Gemini is getting off not only on the beauty of Venus and Leo here, but the fact that Venus and Leo is paying attention and way into it, and they're dialing into each other in this sextile. This is definitely part of the new moon that happens on Saturday. This is a great way to look at it. I mean, I'm going to throw in something in here that's going to throw some of this off, but I want you to initially think about that, okay? So, and not only that does that happen that day, but it's a very eventful day in the astrology world this week. And, I call this the Venus and Leo live stream because I wanted to bring in the Leo stuff, which I have, but I can't help but bring this in because it's a major deal. So the other thing I'm going to show you that happens before the new moon the same day is right here. Saturn in Pisces goes retrograde. This is the first retrograde since March since Saturn is entered Pisces. This happens at 10:27 a.m. before the new moon is fully exact. Saturn's going to go backwards for a while till later this year. So we have a planetary station happening. We want to acknowledge it. It doesn't start going backwards yet. It's just stopping here. It's stopping. And we want to notice this a little bit because Mercury's at 11 degrees and here's Saturn there. So there's a little bit of funky thing with the conversation. I think we had the square earlier in the week. I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be honest. But I just want to point that out, that Saturn's going backwards here. For those people who are Pisces people born during the first week, this is huge because since March till now, you've had Saturn over your sun. And it's been a major player and possibly very hard in your world, bringing a reality check in general to your life force, to who you are as a Pisces person. And you're there. And now it's about to go over all those places it did the last several months again. And then it's going to do that. It's going to go over it one more time and later in the year that Saturn's going to move forward. And so you have a task in front of you, Pisces people born in the first week. Or if you have anything in Pisces from like 0 to 10 degrees. Okay. So whether it's Mercury, planet of communication, whatever, you have this. And so I have to make a note on the Saturn stationing here. This is the big deal. Okay. And then interestingly enough, later on in the night after the new moon happens, we want to keep track of the Gemini moon. And it's because it's squared off by Neptune here, 27 degrees back and forth, which throws an illusionary, a little bit of cloudiness on this new moon. And that's why we want to be precise in our thinking, precise in our vision, Saturn in Pisces. We want to have a little bit of structure and not to go too far and have too much pleasure at the party and conversations. We still want to keep things focused on this new moon. And you want to always go back to a focused place, because the fire and air can get on a tangent and have a good time. And then we have this Neptune, which can bring confusion and untruth to the communication. And we don't want that to happen. We can use Neptune to bring the creativity and the vision in, but we don't want to get lost. So that is the 17th. When we get to the 18th, and I will be done here, I will just turn it into here and then go like this and go like this. When we get to the 18th on Sunday, the moon actually goes into Cancer for Sunday morning and afternoon, which gives our brains a break from all the Gemini activity of the new moon, all the fire activity. Some of us are hungover in many ways, even mentally here. And the moon in Cancer comes in and just wants to ground and replenish our emotional states. Later on in the day, the moon is going to vibe with Jupiter and Taurus. We like this. This is definitely more replenishment, and the moon is going to trine the Saturn in Pisces that I talked about earlier. That's just stationing retrograde, and we have it here. 8-degree moon and Saturn are vibing with each other in a good way. Groundedness next Sunday. Chill, our emotional content. We just take care of ourselves. Go easy. Let us process what happened in the last 7 days emotionally and mentally in our world, and make our bellies full, metaphorically and literally. Okay, and then the 8:53 p.m. that night, the sun in Gemini is actually going to be squared off by Neptune. And here is a yearly square that's happening between the Neptune and the Gemini sun at 27 degrees. Let me do something here, because I don't like the way, I just want to change something up here, because we'll even look bigger than it is. Okay, so we'll just go like this. And can I do this? Yeah, I will go like that. And we will, that didn't do anything, did it? I just do shit. Anyway, we want to look at Neptune here, right? 27 degrees. Here, why don't we do it like this? We do a little circle of Neptune, and then we do a little arrow to the sun here at 27 degrees. And there's a lot of mutability happening here during that weekend, but that day here, it's exact. That's okay for a Sunday. Sometimes we got to be careful with Neptune, especially here with Gemini and what it does being ruled by Mercury. Again, what is the truth and what is not? Is there a little bit of fibbing going on in the conversations? An imaginative story that is presented as fact? You know what I mean? Like, this is the type of stuff that happens with Neptune, Sun, mutable Gemini, and Neptune and Pisces, with Mercury there being there. Things are not so clear. At the same time, I don't know. Maybe after the weekend when you're hungover or when whatever kind of way, or just energetically, that you're just kind of coasting away, and just remember that a text message comes through, or a message, or a news report that you see, and it comes in and it's all dramatic. Just try not to take it in so fast. Go like, wait a sec, I'm going to wait till tomorrow and see if this is actually real. And then by Monday, hopefully you get the clarity that it is. And that's how I'm going to end the weekly forecast off the top of my head and on the fly. That's the deal. Okay. That's what's up. Fran in the chat, hi. Fran says, I have Venus at 2 degrees and Saturn at 8 degrees and the Sun at 12 degrees of Pisces. Oh, you are definitely part of the mutable story, Fran. You're having either your first or second Saturn return. And I hope that you've gotten some clues with what to do with Saturn, which, remember, Saturn is a reality planet. It actually deals with mortality also, like in a sense of like, do this now, you only have so long, kind of thing. Remember, before, I don't mean to scare anybody here, but before the outer planets were discovered, Saturn was the planet, the last planet, right? Jupiter before Saturn, nearest us, it's the vision. And here comes Saturn after that, limits the vision. But really, Jupiter and Saturn want to work together to construct the vision. But what the hell was after Saturn back in the old days before we took in, like, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto? Saturn was the reality planet, the limiter, the boundary. What is past the boundary? Past the boundary is death, mortality. Saturn rules time. Time deals with life and death. So, we want to appreciate Saturn and whatever it's doing in our lives, but I'll be real with you. It can be very difficult. I'm pretty loud today, aren't I? It can be very difficult to have Saturn, let's say, messing with your Venus, like somebody in a chat or they're having return, because you're brought rule sets and certain realities that you don't want to deal with because maybe you're in fear of them, and you realize it's going to take a lot of work and a challenge, or you don't know how to deal with them, right? And at some point, we resist that as human beings. We'll resist things that we fear or are challenging, or we don't have the necessary tools to understand. And it's there where I think more tension is created with the resistance. And it's at some point in someone's Saturn story, whatever it's doing to someone's chart, can they get to a point of realization of what is really at hand? What is the challenge at hand? What is the thing that I have to do to understand this? And then play by the rules a little bit to learn. And in the end, you work a Saturn transit to your advantage, you become the authority on it. First off, I see Leslie Culp with the super chat tip in chat. Thank you so much for that, because I just ordered a book today again, and it's helping to pay for the book. Pixar Astrology in the chat. Happy birthday, Nicholas. 4 more hours. For my birthday tomorrow. Thank you. Someone's counting down. I'm not even counting down. Thank you. Someone's helping me count down to remind me of my mortality. Speaking of mortality, 1 more day closer to the death. It could be tomorrow. It could be 30 years from now. One more step towards that reality. And by saying that, one more step towards the reality of not being here on planet Earth is one way to look at having your birthday or looking at life. But then when you do that, what do you do? Do you give up? Or do you like, I only got a day. I only got 20 years. Who knows how long I'm going to have? I got to do this. I want to smell the flowers. I got to make that thing. I got to go on YouTube. I got to get 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I got to do something. I got to smell the flowers. Thank you, Brixer T. By the way, I'm going to stop right here, right now. You see Pixar T Astrology? You see that in chat? Brilliant astrologer, fellow colleague. Go check out her channel. I love her production quality. I learn from you, by the way. I watch your videos. I learn. I got things. You inspire me. See, we inspire each other in chat, okay? Thank you. Fran in chat says, I am just starting a new government job tomorrow. Whoa, okay, I see. Stellium with Moon and Chiron and Mercury's whole in Pisces. Damn, Fran, you're a Pisces, and you're multiple fish. You're all types of fish. Hey, Fran, good luck with your job tomorrow, okay? Good luck with that. Blessings to you. Steffi G's Revolution in chat says, is there another way I can donate? YouTube won't let me super chat for whatever reason. It won't. And thank you for asking. Yeah, there is another way you can donate. Thank you, chat. What is another way? I should be pushing myself, shouldn't I? Shouldn't I be yeah, whatever. I could do this. I have, you know what? This is a perfect time to show you something here, because here's my website, right? And so let me go to the links. Oh, this is some weird way I have my links. By the way, this is what you see when you go to my IG thing. And you'll see some links here. It's like contact me, podcast. Oh, hey, there's a PayPal link. I think I have it. You can do it there at Sparkles of Gold on PayPal. You could do it at Sparkles of Gold Astro. You could do it there, and I will put that link in the chat. And where is my chat screen? I hope that works. If not, you let me know. And Steffi G, you rock. Thank you so much for helping me out, and just the thought of you donating, that you're making the extra effort to try, it's appreciated. So yeah, oh, right on, Steffi G. Thank you so much. I don't know if you know this, but like I have a podcast that I do every once in a while. I do these recordings with astrologers, and I ask them 3 questions. It's an audio only podcast, and you could find this there. I have a bunch of other ones I've edited, or I'm in the process of editing. I actually haven't even edited them yet. I'm just telling myself that I'm going to do that this week publicly. Welcome to the Gemini life, by the way. Well, welcome to the Mercury Gemini life, where you're talking to yourself on air with a bunch of people watching. So anyway, that is that is what I'm going to be working on. I had some great interviews I've done a couple of weeks ago, that if they come out correctly, I feel really good about and really proud about, and especially the conversations I had with people, and their willingness to talk to me and to show parts of themselves to the world that maybe they don't normally do, as astrologers. And that's why I do this. That's why I do those interviews. Not only that, you also see here that on Stormy Grace's channel, Stormy, a fellow colleague on YouTube, an incredible astrologer, an incredible business person who I've learned so much from, who also has an amazing course for astrologers and practitioners to how to set up the logistics as a business. I was on her YouTube channel, and maybe I will copy this video URL and put it in the chat too. You can watch a conversation that her and I had about Venus and Leo, which I thought was really good. 2 Mercury and Geminis talking, by the way. And I'll put that in chat right there. So that's what's up there. Scout says your interviews of other astrologers are really, really good. Thank you, Scout. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I really like doing them. And I like them because they've all been face-to-face. Even though they're not recorded on video, there's something about the audio. I thought about doing my last round of them on video, but it was too much to set up in the situation. So it's like, stick to the audio, because there's another thing that happens too. That, some of us are good on camera, can pull it off. I could do it, right? I mean, obviously, I don't feel too weird on camera. Some people just don't. And if they're talking in an interview and the camera's on them, it isn't the same. And sometimes an audio-only podcast, when it still feels like you're just 2 people there, right? Once you start the conversation, they forget about the people being around that they're going to possibly listen to it. So they're just talking with you. And that's the magnificent thing about audio podcasts, or audio in general. Even music, right? I could dig a music video and stuff, but in the end, when you're just listening to music, what it does to you and how you embrace and have that intertwine into your world through your senses is completely different than video. So that's why I think these 3 questions interviews with astrologers are fascinating at times, or what can be, because of what happens in that format. Okay, so there is a little bit of my world. I also have a Patreon if you want to do it. I gotta feed that sucker. There's that. And not only that, since I'm promoting myself here, I'm going to tell you, I have a Venus and Leo retrograde special going on here. You could see it here in my page. What else I have going? Other thing I have going on right now that's super cheapo is I will put I put a different contact thing in the link here. I will put this. This is kind of my contact me. So I'll put this in chat. And the reason is right now, if you send me your birth time, this costs $11.11. If you send me your birth time in info and email, and if you want, I'll send you a calendar file of Venus and Leo's transit from this past week all the way to October, and every aspect that Venus will make to your personal chart, and it will be on your Google Calendar that you can insert, or whatever calendar app that you use, and you will get an alert 12 hours before the exact let's say Venus is squaring your sun. It will show up on your calendar, and you could keep track of what Venus is doing in your chart. If you email me, if you message me, and say, hey, I'm in for that. I'll give you my PayPal and Venmo. And then for $11.11, or if you want to do more, I will send you this calendar file. I think it's really interesting and fascinating, actually, because I have it going on my thing. And like just this week, I had Venus opposing my moon. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's right. I need to remember that. Me, the astrologer, I need to remember that. So I just want to let you know I'm doing that. Okay, so what else can I talk about? I will do this. I will also do this. And you're not going to see this, what I'm doing. Oh, man. Let me switch over here. I'm going to show you something. Okay? Be patient with me. I'm going to show you a book. Feature a book here. Because I at least want to feature one book every time I do this. And the book I'm talking about this time. Hey, I see you. Airful in chat. Airful chat. I don't know how you say that. I never asked you. Yo, good to see you here. Good to see you. Here's a book. This book is by Mark Jones. He's an evolutionary astrologer. I don't discriminate astrology-wise, by the way. Have you noticed that? I don't tell you what to do, like, hey, you need to do that kind of astrology and that's it. I'll never do that. I'll never do that, okay? So I might not use some of this stuff too, but I know about it and I'll share. So anyway, here's Mark Jones's book, The Soul Speaks. He's got several books. This book in particular, it's called The Soul Speaks, The Therapeutic Potential of Astrology. Now, why does he say this? If you don't know who Mark is, he's a fascinating astrologer, and he's also a counselor, like a therapist, has a history and a practice for years, and he deals with helping people, and he also teaches astrology in his own way through the evolutionary astrology way, which deals with planetary phases and other things. It takes the lunar nodes into account in a different way, and also the outer body planets in relation to the lunar nodes. But I'll tell you, I'll read you something from the contents here, and I'll show you the contents. I can do this. No, it's there. Nicholas, this is always a problem when I do this. No, that's not what I want to do. That's what I want to do. So you could see here the contents of the book, how it starts off with therapeutic astrology, and then the next thing it says, counseling skills for astrologers. Now that is there's some stuff in the book here. Hey, Aesthetic Delta. Good day and good evening to you. Thanks for being here. Nice to see you. The reason why I like this particular chapter is because I'm always trying to incorporate different tools and techniques to help myself and to help the conversations that I have with clients. And I always will do this. And I think it's important because you find yourself in situations and in moments with people where it's not the technical aspects of astrology. The astrology is there, but it's how a conversation happens. Noticing what has come up within an interchange in conversation. This is in general in just life with relating to people, right? But basically, he brings up very interesting things about the reactions of clients and the importance of trust. He's got a whole thing about importance of trust and the types of defense systems that we as practitioners and clients have when certain situations come up. He's got a whole thing in here on projection. He's, obviously, he's got that part of the chapter is he talks about transference and mirror transference. I will bring this up on the screen here. Maybe I can read some of it here. I got to find a better way of doing this. This is too bright because of the paper. He says, the form of transference arises from a core, quote-unquote, empathic resonance stemming from the basic need infants have for mirroring via the mother's nurturing gaze and appreciation. Author and psychologist Mario Jacobi describes the expression of the need as, if anybody in the whole world is taking joy in the fact that I exist, if there is nobody who understands, appreciates, and loves what I am and what I do, then there is hardly any chance of keeping a realistic sense of self-esteem, unquote. So that chapter starts off that way, and he starts talking about individuals and people you talk to where their trust in the sense has been compromised. And what happens with people in conversations, especially if they're going to come to you as a practitioner and they're trusting you, there's so much that happens with dynamics. And I'm not the perfect person with this, but I appreciate this book just for that alone, that chapter alone. And he's got a course just for practitioners. Let's say people aren't trained professionally therapeutically or blah, blah, blah. He's even got a course on this. So Mark, I don't know if you're ever going to see this. I know you, buddy. I haven't seen you in a long time. You're over in Europe. I know Mark is a colleague and through conferences and helping with stuff and that. Mark, I really appreciate you in your work and what you've done. And not only that, on his website, there's a link section that shows us this books that he's been influenced by. Some gold and stuff there too. Anyway, I'm going to put this link in the chat. If it's an affiliate link, if you buy it, I get a little bit of something from it. And I'll put that right there. There is that in the chat. The Soul Speaks by Mark Jones. Hope you're well, buddy. If you're out there, if you're ever watching this, he had a book he put out on the nodes. And Mark, you're out there watching this somehow? You'll never walk alone, buddy. All right, so that's what's up with that. I maybe should stop here because I am an hour and 15 minutes away. If you want to ask me anything in chat right now, go for it. If there is something else book-wise or whatever, ask me right now. Ask me anything in chat, and I will do my best to answer it. I could look at another book and bust out another book here, but that's enough for now, maybe, unless it vibes with. I'll look at chat here. Yeah. I think I am going to put another video out this week just on some other stuff that I might just do. I still need to put out a Venus and Leo video on what it means for each sign. I've just been too backed up and overwhelmed. So there's that. Whatever I am called to. My birthday's here next, right now, 24 hours. So I might take it easy. Maybe I'll go live again. I don't know. But yeah, that's what's up with that. I'm looking at chat here, and yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll slowly wind down here with a little bit of sound to say goodbye. After this video is done, I'm gonna have to chapter it out in the comments or in the description for people watching later, so you can skip the things. I'll put it by each date. I'll put it by anything that I think was prominent to chapter in the YouTube. I will do that. Yeah. All right. So let's see what we got here. Let me get this together. Ooh. Okay. Let's do that. Let us do that. I don't know if it's gonna be too loud. Thank you, Steffi G. Happy solar return. Thank you. Thank you. Roof Rock. So glad I get to hear the synth sounds while brushing your teeth. Kyria Fusan has a question. What do you think about Saturn transiting the ascendant? Well, off the top of my head, I will say there's a reconstruction of your identity. A lot of times, we want to look at the ascendant too. Let's keep it real basic. We want to look at the ascendant in the first house. In the basic terms in astrology, is obviously yourself, but it's actually your physical self and your vitality in a sense. It's, if you think about what the rising sign part of the chart is, it's the eastern part, and all the planets rise there every morning, right? So your ascendant's there, and that in a sense is rising out into the world. You have your sun sign somewhere else, but the rising sign is this vessel you're rising out into the world, and this packaging that you're in. That a lot of people are seeing the outward packaging. The other thing is these glasses that I'm wearing, and the lens is the rising sign, and I'm viewing and rising into the world and engaging the world through whatever sign is on my ascendant. Okay, so then if you have Saturn there, you're going to have a reconstruction of that whole model, how people are seeing you and how you're seeing and engaging with the world. And anything that happens angular, when I say this, any planet that hits your first or fourth or seventh or 10th houses, it just takes one, because if it's hitting one of them, that means it's hitting all of them, really. It's opposing and squaring all of them. That means you're pretty much foundation part of the chart, the cross, is changing. So when you have Saturn come across, there's a foundational change and a reconstruction in the sense of your outward identity. And a lot of times on a basic level, you can look to your actual vitality, energy, and the integration of how that manifests through your physical body, your nervous system, your muscles, your bones, Saturn bones. That kind of thing could change. You could change your name. You could change the way you look. Those are basic level stuff. But on a deeper level, I would say, is that, is for a suggestion. You got to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, because I don't know your chart, and I'm not doing a chart reading here tonight, which, by the way, I'm going to let all you know, take a quick tangent here, that I think in a week and a half, I'm going to formally promote my Empower Hour live stream where people can call in and get their chart done. I haven't done this in a month. Okay. So anyway, but with Saturn, it's going to ask you to slow down and to contemplate, let's say, your first house and your ascendant. And what comes along with contemplation is a reality check. And what comes along with a reality check is at some point of one has to accept a restructuring or a need to go down to the roots and foundations and pillars of wherever that is, wherever Saturn is, and to look at the cracks in those foundations and to either rebuild or to patch them up. But first, because Saturn moves slow and asks you to slow down and to contemplate or deal with time, you can't push things. So what I'm saying to you is, depending on your situation, just understand what time and reality is. And if the more you push and the more resistance you're getting back with your ascendant, call that out with yourself and understand you got to chill. And that's one way to start the Saturn process. Anyway, I hope that helped you answering the question. I'm not going to say it's horrible or it's amazing. I think it's all of that, like life is. But if one is not used to this, it only happens every 27 and a half years or whatever, but they're not used to a Saturn story in their life, that I would suggest, besides everything I just said, I also would look to other people that you could trust to help you with whatever interesting reconstruction or challenge that may occur in your life. Whether it's someone who listens to you neutrally or supports your process. I think that is the key. And what can happen with Saturn transits is alienation and feeling alone and all that. And one can have all the help in the world and still feel alone, but you don't want to be alone. And if you notice that kind of dynamic is happening, go look and find some people that have the knowledge and the wisdom, Saturn, that could help you with moving through this transit. Let me look at the thing. Pluto backing into Capricorn. No wonder it felt like Monday. That's funny. Well, we got one long Monday until January when it finally goes back into Aquarius. Scout says Saturn is exactly on my ascendant. Okay, maybe you got something in common with Kira here in the chat here. Well, that means you're Pisces ascendant. I don't know if Kira is. And let us not assume. Airful. Why is Mercury piecing out on Gemini so fast this year? So I can't think too much about what Venus. Well, we have to remember the retrograde that Mercury is coming out of Taurus, and once it starts to come out from behind the sun, when the Kazemi happen, it's going to speed up and do its thing. All planets do this. When they go behind the sun, they start to speed up. But Mercury, this is the story all the way until it's going to get to Virgo here in September, I think it is, end of August into September, when Mercury is going to go into Virgo. It will start slowing down at that point, but that's how Mercury rolls. Kira, thank you. Seems to be a good mix of good and not so good so far. if you do a little bit every day, if Saturn's in your world, like step by step, let's say your natal Saturn in your chart. Let's not even think about transiting Saturn. You do a little bit day by day. Make time for your Saturn in your chart. Just a little bit. Don't have to go big. Then you're doing Saturn. That means you're slowly mastering partly what could be a fear, which when you walk into fear and unknown, you slowly use the fear and you turn it into something else. That's the beauty of Saturn transits. I love Saturn, by the way. I'm really good with clients with Saturn. I like to do Saturn work with clients, because I've seen amazing things happen when people acknowledge their Saturn, acknowledge what they might not know and what they fear, and take the path, make the decision to climb the mountain. And before you know it, you're sore and it's hard work and a lot of other people are having fun. But then you're like, I could see the potential. I'm not so scared anymore. And you start to meet people and see situations that they're in the place you are, or the place you were 10 steps before. And you have a little bit of advice for them. Like you're becoming the teacher. And next thing you know, somehow, some way, you hit one big part of the mountain and you're at the top, or at least where it has a view, and you're like, you look down at the view and you're like, I remember when I was down there scared shitless. I didn't know what was going on. I'm still kind of freaked out a little bit, but I'm not down there anymore. I'm up here. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish this. I could do this. I think I could do it now. I see the benefits of all this Saturn stuff. I'm like, I could do it. One day you're on top of the mountain and you don't even know it until somebody says, hey, didn't you just finish your Saturn transit? I'm like, I did? And you're like, oh yeah, I did. And like, they look at you and you realize, and you look at yourself and you're on top of the mountain and you look over everything and you're like, that is your diploma. That is you are now graduated. You are now the authority on whatever it was mountain that you climbed. You know. And you realize that it's the word realize. It's what it is. It's realize. Didn't know I was going to end my stream this talking about Saturn, but that's what's up. Saturn stations next week, as I talked about in the live stream. And for those of you affected by that, we're talking about Saturn, know that next weekend you better mark that stationary date of 6 or 7 degrees of where it's at, and track things, because it's going to come back to that later this year. And you want to make that note. Okay? So... And you also want to make a note, it's going to go all the way back. Saturn and Pisces is going to go all the way back till pretty much close 0 degrees. And then when it's going to station forward to go leave the retrograde, you want to make that point. You want to flag that marker in the dirt on your way to the mountain, or up the mountain. You're like, okay, these are the points, Okay, anyway, I'm done ranting about that. Thanks for watching, y'all. And thanks for anybody who made it this far, who's going to watch here in the future. I appreciate you and supporting the channel. Appreciate my randomness and my going off the top of my head and not being so formal. Me being me. Which I guess this is how I'm going to end my live stream. I'll put a chapter marker about the Venus and Leo rant I went on earlier in this stream about how we deserve pleasure and the healthy ways of doing it and the letting go of shame and guilt when we felt pleasure, and the world, how the world can imprint things on us that make us feel that way because we want to step into our power and to feel happy and creative and pleasurable, like those things in life. And so to end it, it's like y'all deserve that. I deserve that. So I'll see you on the next live stream. I'll put out a video later this week possibly, and I'm going to announce when I'm going to do my live call-in show to do charts. I like that noise. So until next time, I'll see you on the other side on my next video. Thank you, Scout, for saying happy birthday. Thank you, Kira. Thank you. Yep, it's happening, isn't it? 27 years old. I'm having my first Saturn return. That's a joke. I'm not 27 years old. Thank you, Phoebe. Happy birthday. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for being real as ever. You're welcome, Phoebe. And a message out there, because sometimes people do stuff not on YouTube, but they, let's say, do a lecture somewhere. They're part of something where they're going to talk about what they know. And if you're doing that, I wish you good luck in that one. I see it's a good thing for you. And more people are going to see the magic of what you do. In the wilderness. Don't look a day over 23. Okay, that's how we're stopping the stream. All right, y'all. We're leaving it at that. We're going to leave the stream at that. So, all right, y'all. I'll see you later, okay? Adios.